Back through my days covering politics, which was my former life. I guess it's still sort of my life too now. Anyway, one name that I heard over and over and over again, like a billion times, Rahm Emanuel. I mean, he worked in Bill Clinton's White House. He was Barack Obama's chief of staff. He was a congressman. He was the mayor of Chicago. He was U.S. ambassador to Japan. He's held all of these big jobs in politics, and one constant through them all is he's always found time to work out, like a serious workout routine, every single day. Rahm is totally obsessed with exercise.
Like this morning, just as an example.
Okay.
I swam a mile and did an hour of weights. And then at lunchtime, I'm going to go do an hour of yoga. What I try to do, and it changes, but is 3 times a week I swim a mile. Been doing that for 40 plus years.
Yeah, Rahm Emanuel, obsessed with fitness. The story of why that is true, absolutely crazy. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to how the hell he's going to keep up a routine like this if he decides to run for president in 2028. We'll get to all of it coming up next. Ambassador, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I want to start with one of your obsessions, which it sounds like fitness has been a big part of your life for a very long time. And
Yeah.
I guess I wonder what that means. Like, how often are you working out, and how did you find time to do that when you were, running a White House and being an ambassador to Japan and all that stuff?
Well, it's first of all, I do it in the morning, like this morning, just as an example.
Okay.
I swam a mile and did an hour of weights. And then at lunchtime, I'm going to go do an hour of yoga. Tomorrow, so what I try to do, and it changes, but is 3 times a week I swim a mile. Been doing that for 40 plus years, more. 3 times a week I do weight training for 1 hour with a trainer. Twice a week I do a yoga for an hour with a trainer. And then twice a week aerobic, which is 45 on the bike and 15 on the elliptical, or move the times around, but it's a minimum of 1 hour. And that's what I try to get in. There may be a little more, but very rare less. And it started dialing all the way back.
Okay.
When I was nearly died from an accident. The doctors, both doctors, the infectious disease and the doctor said if it wasn't for my physical condition, and that's when I was dancing a lot, I would have been a goner. And then so that just became okay. And then one thing led to another. And I would say it's gone from an obsession to slightly on the neurotic side of the spectrum.
What is I'm trying to think of where that line is when you go from obsession to neurosis.
Well, I don't know if there's first of all, probably more morphs rather than flips.
Yeah. It's like a gradual thing. You don't even notice it.
Yeah. I mean, like I will look at the week and go, okay, I used to be when I was living in Chicago, when I was mayor or whatever, or not running around the country, I could tell you which days I did what, etc. I'm regimented about getting what in now versus what day it will be on. But, and then this is another kind of weird, I don't recommend this if you want mental health. Every year between Thanksgiving and Christmas, I set a goal. Sometimes it's adding something new to the regimen. But this year, I've set a goal of replacing 5 pounds with 5 pounds of muscle. 5 pounds of fat. And
5 pounds of fat with 5 pounds of muscle. Do you even have 5 pounds of fat? I feel like you're a pretty fit guy, and I'm not noticing
I don't know. Well,
a lot of additional fat.
I got my trainer. We got to have a diet program with it. And so that, I don't know, that would be, I think, a pretty good sign that it's gone from obsession to neuroses.
Yeah, that feels like evidence. Yeah. I'm thinking of my New Year's resolutions. It was like, don't drink wine by yourself on airplanes. Like, cut that out. And you're like, transform 5 pounds of fat into 5 pounds of muscle.
Going back to the scene of the crime, I was in the hospital for 7 weeks. First 96 hours was touch and go.
This is when you were going, this is like college years?
It was a summer before college. In fact, the doctors didn't want me to go to college. And that's when I finally had an explosion after 7 weeks. And Dr. Davis, Todd Davis, and I got into it. But in the end of the day, they let me go, and they weren't sure. They wanted to monitor the infection because they really didn't think they had not only suppressed it but eliminated it. But I think over that period of time, it was probably one of the most important things that ever happens to me. And then one byproduct, there's other things that come out of it. The other things are my obsession about getting something done with my life. I was a mess. I was not exactly the biggest, hardest worker in high school. But one obsession that comes in is this exercise obsession, because Todd Davis, who has now passed away, and his son is a friend, says to me, if you weren't in this physical condition, there's a good chance you would have been a goner. And that becomes kind of the motivation for two fronts. One is on the exercise, and the other one to kind of go do something with my life, because I wasn't exactly as my father. I don't think this translates well for your podcast, but there's a Yiddish word called schwer Arbeiter, which is sarcastically said hard worker, which is a schwer Arbeiter. He's not. I wasn't exactly a hard worker. And then I kind of come out of this with this obsession to do something with my life and to stay incredibly healthy.
Yeah, you got a new lease on life and a second big chance. Well, I don't want to gloss over the this painful experience. So you're a teenager and you were dancing a lot, which was what had you in good shape. It was ballet, right?
Yeah, it was ballet. I always took ballet. I had jazz or modern dance, etc., but ballet was the foundation, and that starts freshman year of high school, off season. I say to my mother, I want to improve my soccer game for the next season. That was the year. I don't know if you're too young, but Rosie Greer for the Minnesota Vikings had taken up ballet.
Yeah.
She goes, she says you should take up ballet. So I'll never forget this. I walk into the Evanston School of Ballet, and there's 25, 30 women and me. And I go, like a light bulb goes off and goes, okay, you can sit on the bench for the rest of the season with a bunch of guys.
Yeah.
Or you can be in here by yourself with 25 women. I did not need AI to kind of punch that in.
Yep. Decision made. Human brain makes decision.
I was ready to go out on a limb, and I said, ballet it is. And then I'm dancing a lot and performing stuff at schools, et cetera, et cetera. And I can't remember the hours, but I'm dancing somewhere close to 40 to 50 hours plus school full time, but dancing, etc. And if not more, but in very good condition. And according to Todd Davis, if it wasn't for that, good chance I'd be on the other side, because the first 72 hours in the hospital, I'm in full ice pack. I'm running 105 fever, plus or minus. I have 5 blood infections, 2 bone infections, and gangrene. And they were going to just chop the arm off to stop the bone infection spread. And in fact, a nurse saves that by the way she undid the bandage and in the soapy water. And anyway, I was a mess.
Well, how did you get there? I mean, you're doing ballet, but you're also working. You're also working at a fast food restaurant, right?
I'm working at Arby's, correct?
Yeah.
I'm cleaning the meat cutter. The manager forgets to tell me there is a metal glove, and I'm cleaning below the blade. Boom! I clean it and I wrap it up. What happens is, not only do I wrap it very tight in that very brilliant way. There's gangrene. I not only had sliced the finger, but I'd sliced the bone. And there's a piece of meat stuck in there. We'll just leave it there. Let's get to the other side of this obsession.
Yeah, but you're rushed to the hospital.
Yeah.
They talk about, there was talk of taking your entire arm.
Yeah, I'm convulsing, body shaking. And this nurse saves my life because one of the infections can only lives in the bloodstream, and because it can't have oxygen. And the bubble water and the soapy water, the way she's unwrapping it, kills it before it has a chance to get into the body. Because I had tied it's a messed up story. And it then becomes the impetus that now I'm just kind of I have to do it for my own mental health. But I've done it my whole life, meaning from that moment, I did it when I was a congressman. I did it when I was a chief of staff. I did it when I was President Clinton's senior advisor. I did it when I was mayor, and I did it when I was ambassador. I have a regimen. I've never given up on it. It's like, and that's in my body now physically. Now you crave it.
Once you get that attached to it, I mean, it's you can't live without it.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So is there a day you remember in one of these very insane positions that you've had where, I don't know, like you had to make that impossible decision? Like, I have so many meetings, or there's something so high stakes going on in the White House. I really should not swim this morning because President Clinton is deciding whether to declare war, or, I mean, just something where you were like, holy shit, like, am I really going to go exercise right now?
I'm going to just tell you this right now. This morning, because I had this CNN hit time, I ended up swimming at 5 a.m., doing my weights. I was home by 6:30. I got up early so I could get it all in. That's how I adjusted.
So just wake up as early as it takes.
Yes. I mean, and I'll map out the week. I can tell you exactly what I'm going to do Tuesday, what I'm going to do Wednesday, what I'm going to do Thursday, what I'm going to do Friday, what I'm going to do Saturday. I can tell you today because it's mapped out over the weekend. The second thing is, unlike not yoga or bike, but in the swim, that 31 minutes, I probably do my best thinking. So actually, whatever that day is coming ahead or whatever, I've been doing it for 40 years. So you can either count 1, 2, or you just take a problem and start noodling it. And anybody that's ever worked for me will know the worst time in the morning is when I'm done swimming and I'm on my way home, even getting that call while I was in the pool.
I figured it out.
Yes. I mean, I'll give you the one example because the other day, Amy and I, my wife, went to see it's not really a library, but President Obama's what I call presidential campus.
Mm-hmm.
They're putting a neighborhood library there. It's called co-location. Well, we've done 6 of those in Chicago. In fact, Seoul, South Korea, Houston, other cities have come to see what we did. And, a great urban reporter at the New York Times wrote a story all about these codes. Anyway, one day when I'm swimming, in the neighborhood of the back of the yards, there was a high school. The day beforehand, I meet with a bunch of leaders from back of the yards. And this is back of the yards, meaning it's back of the stockyards. That's the neighborhood. It's mainly his Mexican-American, Hispanic neighborhood. They want a library. They don't have one. So in the pool, they had said that. I had read a weekly report about an upcoming thing anyway, where I was going to be meeting with the schools all about new construction, et cetera, the capital budget. So I thought about, well, every library, it's a high school that's being built. That's a big point. I said, every school has a library. So when they came in, I said, do you guys have a library planned in the school? They said, of course. I said, well, where is it? And this is early on in the process. They said, well, it's on the 3rd floor. I said, well, I'd like you to think about put it on the 1st floor and give 2 different entries, one from the school, one from outside. It was early enough in the process. I said, okay. And that becomes our first co-location, and we put a neighborhood library in the high school. Now, usually you'd have a Chicago Public School capital, library capital budget, and they would never meet. Fast forward, I love this idea, and it becomes a big success. We did 3 different projects with Chicago Housing Authority, beautiful architecture, Skidmore, Owings, all these great architectural firms from around the globe competed for it. And we did senior housing, but on the first 2 floors was a neighborhood library in the public housing.
Love that.
And President Obama, and that came from a pool, from a swim, because somebody said something over here, we need a library. I'm meeting with the schools there. And that idea came, you can call it waterlog, but we'll do a library. I don't have the money for a library, but I'm building a school. So let's just put the public neighborhood library in the school.
What is it about swimming that makes you like make connections that you might not make, outside the pool?
One is there's nobody around. There's no communication. There's nothing to distract you, telephone or whatever. And you can count, but I start noodling something and it becomes a way to, rather than count, to pass the time.
To meditative? Is that the right kind of word?
Well, all you have is your breathing. So I suppose, I've only meditated a few times. One of my two daughters does it a lot. Yeah, you say that. So many of idea will come from that and from the pool. And it gives me that, unlike, I don't mean to say this, I don't usually say, while I was weightlifting, I thought of, because you're counting, and that becomes, it's really, of all the 4 things I do, or 5, that's the one in which I get a spark. And there's different things that have happened at different times in both the tenure of being chief of staff or being ambassador or mayor, where an idea comes about.
Is there a decision from the Clinton White House or the Obama White House that we can at least tangentially tie to one of your early morning swims?
All right, this is going to get me in trouble.
I love that. Perfect. This is the greatest place. Perfect place for that.
So every year, President Clinton he'd give us his hand-me-down ties that he got as gifts that he didn't want, and I'd get them, and they were horrendous. And I'd give them to my father. I would give them to my father-in-law.
Just pass them along.
Yeah. It was just like, and every year my father-in-law would get these ties. I wouldn't tell him that it was coming from Clinton, but they were, something. My father-in-law. One year, I get a little book, like one of these little, square books. Literally that size. It was Yiddish humor for goys. And I go, well, that is thoughtful. And I stuck it in the drawer of my desk, and whenever I was on a call or whatever, it was actually pretty good. It was like little humor. X months later, I forgot how many months later, the Starr report came out. And if you read through the report, which all of us had to do at that time.
Special counsel Ken Starr, back in those days. We all,
There's a footnote in the report about the gifts. And one of the gifts, Yiddish humor for goys. And I'm going, I know that book.
I've seen that
Did
before.
I read a book? Yeah, did I read a book review of that book? How do I know that book? And it's like one of those things where you got a fog and you can't remember it.
Uh-huh.
So, I don't know. I forgot what day it was, but it was some point in the week. I'm, very soon after that, day or 2 or 3, but not more, I'm swimming. And then, I don't know, like lap 18, bam!
That's where I've seen that.
That's where I've seen that book. And I then realized I'm in possession of one of the, it's in the fine tradition of ties you got as a gift, you hand them down. Books you got as a gift, you hand them down. And I'm in possession of that book. So I wouldn't call it a new idea that changed the world.
Yeah, it's a good one though. That's a good.
Yeah, but one of those things, that moment that out of nowhere, flash, it hits. I'm trying to think in the auto industry bailout. There's different ones from my mayoral tenure that come about, etc.
What's a mayoral decision that came from a swim?
Well, beyond what I just told you from the libraries, which is the co-locations.
Right.
The one, I had always had an obsession with getting pre-K done. When I become mayor of Chicago, besides the fact that we had the shortest school day and the shortest school year, we did not have full day kindergarten for every child.
In Chicago.
Did not have it, and did not have pre-K. In my first budget and real kind of tussle, we eliminate the funding for overtime for like the operating engineer, the trades, and the operating engineer for the school or other type of services, and take that $25 million and put it into full day kindergarten for every child. But I still have, because in my Sarah Lawrence days, I wanted to become a early childhood educator. I wanted to do pre-K. And I'm fighting with Governor Rauner over rewriting the school funding formula. And he doesn't want to do it. And I got the Speaker of the House and the Senate President, they're for it. And there's been a long-standing fight going back to Richard J. Daley. Every mayor is trying to go to Springfield to get this rewrite, because Chicago really does kids get cheated. The governor's wife runs a organization called, or chairs it, Ounce of Prevention, which is about investing in early childhood. So I make a private pledge that if we get a rewrite, I will use those resources. And that's an idea that comes in the pool that I'll go to his wife, who's a friend. And I told her that if I get this rewrite and we get the funding formula, there were other deals we were cutting. And this is an idea that comes from in the pool, rather than try to keep persuading him, try to work this. That talking to his wife about a personal commitment, that one of the things I will do is not just balance the budget, or I will add universal pre-K for every child, for every 4-year-old. And that's an idea that how to untangle something we were at loggerheads about. And it was using another point of persuasion. That's just a simple idea. But it was something that, obviously the pressure we were applying, he wanted to do other things to our schools, but that's another idea that came about from a swim.
I love that. That's a window into kind of the role of your fitness. Also a nice little window into kind of Chicago, Illinois politics, I think. How getting shit done with using connections.
Look, it was either persuasion or pressure. And in both cases, going to the spouse works.
I'm going to keep that in mind if I get into politics.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking of that, you're thinking about a presidential run, and I just think about your fitness. And I mean, I know you've found ways to swim and do your yoga, like traveling around as a member of Congress and traveling around with the president and being in Japan. But I mean, nothing compares to the rigor of, 6 states in one day, or barnstorming across Iowa. Like, if you're imagining that as a possibility, how do you fit in a swim a day? How do you fit in weightlifting? How do you fit in 3 days of yoga? Is it the hotel gym? Like,
let me say one other thing. Remember when Democrats were complaining that President Bush 43 was biking too much?
I do. I covered that White House. I mean, I witnessed the biking. I witnessed the number of hours that were spent biking.
Yeah. Well, I never did that. And I said, guys, you don't know the pressure of the Oval Office. If you don't like his decisions today, you take exercise out and you're really not going to like these decisions.
It will get so much worse.
Okay. Yeah. Because anybody, other presidents do golf or whatever. President Bush went from running for other reasons. He had to go to biking. I said, you can complain all you want. I think he needs it. You don't understand. That office needs mental health breaks. And exercise is about the only place you can get it. Now, some people, the current occupant, President Trump, likes golf. President Eisenhower liked golf, but he also liked fly fishing. He had a pond put up at Camp David. So, everybody has their own little thing. President Kennedy, sailing and other stuff. So I said, I wouldn't complain about President Bush and biking. I'm for it. I'd add 15, 20 minutes to the day for him to do it. So that's one. Look, the campaign's one thing. You just got to figure it out. And every hotel has something.
But not a pool. I mean, you get to say you're spending the night in Waterloo. Like, Waterloo is a lovely place in Iowa. I love the city. I've spent much time there. I don't know if there's a Y. I don't know if there's a pool.
The good news is you just put Iowa up at the top again. I'm not sure that the NC is going to agree with you.
That's fair. Yeah,
okay,
that's true.
But number two, I have started to talk to people about mapping out. Let's assume it's, for argument's sake, New Hampshire, South Carolina, Nevada, and Michigan. Let's just assume that for this.
Or Iowa. They really aren't going to be that prominent this next time around. It sounds.
Although I'm going to make a prediction. Let me just get away from my exercise obsession.
Yeah.
Iowa, by the summer, people are going to talk about as like the most interesting state in 2026. And the reason is you have an you have an open governor's race. You've had 16-year run for the Republicans. We have a great Democratic candidate. 2, you have an open Senate race. So not a lot of states have both of those open. I'm not talking about a vulnerable. I'm talking about open. We have a big primary, et cetera, but there's a very good couple Democrats, talented Republican. And then 2 of the 4 congressionals are very competitive. And what got Democrats realizing early on that maybe 2026 has the promise is that state Senate district all the way up in the northwest corner of the state where you flipped it by about 28 points, if I'm doing my memory correctly. So all that said, I believe, while people are talking today, you and I are doing this, oh, Texas, this, and I'm not saying Texas won't be played, but nobody's looking at the governor's race. And I should probably left the biggest piece out. The rural economy is horrendous. And President Trump's tariffs, what he has done both to soybeans, wheat, pork, and ag implement products, has been a devastation to that economy. And he's gone to his base and he kicked them right in the shins.
But before, I do want to turn to politics, but I'm not going to where are you finding a pool in Reno on a Thursday morning campaigning like a crazy person before the primary in Nevada? That's my question.
I will find a pool and I'll invite you, but don't you worry. I'm going to map this sucker out. Okay?
This is what I want. I mean, this is the window I want. We're going to keep following your
You think
pool.
You're the only person that wants it? Anybody who's working on my campaign will want me to have a pool because I will not. I would be a mess.
This is going to be the great adventure of the 2028 race. Where does Rahm swim?
Rahm needs to swim 3 times a week.
I do want to ask you about something that you've been obsessing about in the political realm. I mean, you have really carved out a message about the Democratic Party needing to de-emphasize the culture wars. That is one of the loudest messages, at least I've heard from you. Why is that such an obsession of yours right now?
Well, the reason is because one is on a lot of it I don't agree with. That's just straight up. 2 is I think it's a horrible electoral strategy. And 3, you consistently take on an 80-20 issue to 20%. And 4th, probably most importantly on the presidential level, not true about other things, but if you look at President Kennedy, President Clinton, President Obama, just to take 3 candidates running for president, every one of them had a kind of show either by Sister Souljah or Father Right or a trip down to Texas to say, I'm not going to be a Catholic president or take direction from the Pope, that culturally they were locked in to mainstream values. And also willing to say to a constituency, no. Nobody's giving you the keys to the car if you can't say no to a friend and family member. And I say member of the coalition like that. And I also think, look, in 2016, by way of example, I did an ordinance on bathroom access, but I never took my eyes off of high school graduation or reading and math scores. We went from 56 to 83% in graduation. So, yeah, we will be a culture of acceptance, but we're not going to be a culture of advocacy. Big difference. Not going to happen. And I think also we got ourselves way off track from where the American people are. And we made a bunch of secondary issues look like primary. And I think the American people are very accepting people, but we're talking about a kid's pronoun and 30 other kids can't tell you what a pronoun is. We're talking about taking Abraham Lincoln's name off a school and arguing about it. And we don't care whether the kids that go to that school know why it's named after Abraham Lincoln, who he is, and why he's an icon in American history. And so I think we got ourselves wrapped around an axle of culture. And the worst place to take the culture wars is to schools. They're for education. And now, which is one of the reasons I went to Mississippi about a couple months ago, where their reading program has taken them from 49th to 9th in the country, is return schools to the fundamentals of reading and math excellence. And 50% of our kids today, as you and I are sitting here, can't read or do math at grade level. And nobody seems to be worried about it. So to take your question, I think we got ourselves blinded, and that blind and that sense of talking about, I think, a set of issues that are not primary has not only caused us to look like we're off on a wild goose chase, but more importantly, we're not focused on why parents move from one neighborhood to another, or why they pick to live where they live, or what, ours, because they want their kids to learn how to read and do math, and we're not talking about it. So I got like 20 other also explanations.
No, but are you worried that focus obsession is going to lose you support kind of in the more progressive wing of the Democratic Party if you decide to jump into all this?
Let me say this, if I worried about it, I wouldn't be saying it. And second of all, Don't vote for me. If what you want is somebody that will talk about pronouns, locker room access, and bathroom access and obsess about it, I'm not your guy. And I'm okay with that. And you should be okay with that. If you want to know about how to improve reading scores or drive graduation rates up or how to reform a community college or vocational, that's what I'm talking about. You may not even like those ideas. But if what you were looking for is somebody that is going to obsess around a set of cultural issues, don't vote for me. You shouldn't vote for me. Look, I'm letting you know where I stand. My priority is going to be, because you're sitting where you are and I'm sitting where I'm at, because we had a good education. You got 50% of your kids can't do reading and math at grade level. Now, I know one thing about governing. It's to choose. And you're going to know everything you got to know. You already know what I'm going to do on pre-K. You know what I'm going to do on elementary reading and math. You know what I'm going to do to reform our high schools. I just laid out a vocational ed plan to make sure we have enough carpenters, plumbers, and electricians. And in about 3-4 weeks, I'm going to lay out a comprehensive reform to community colleges and then eventually BA. You will know what I stand for. Now, you may not like it, but you're going to know where I'm going to stand.
You sound like you're in this. I mean, you sound motivated.
I am motivated because I actually think I think we got some tough times that require a tough leader to make tough decisions.
Well, and the stakes too. I mean, you told this. I've heard you told this very incredibly powerful story about. I think it was a purse from a family member on the wall that you and your brothers would look at. Every morning growing up. What remind me what that is and why it's so important to you guys.
Well, when we were growing up, in the family room, in the middle of the wall was my grandmother's purse. And that was framed. It was a little red purse with little kind of like, I wouldn't call them pearls or diamonds, but little shiny objects on it. And above it was grandma and my 2 great aunts, Ida and Giddy. And it had their passports framed above it. It was one frame. And on either side of the wall, dad's side and mom's side, were relatives that never made it to America. And those people,
because of the Holocaust, because of the pogroms,
pogroms, and or sent into the Soviet Siberia. So that was mom and dad's way of saying that you're an American. You won the lottery. You won the lottery of life. This is the greatest country. And this is not a gift that should be dealt with frivolously or accidentally. And I think now, as you probably know, there's nothing subtle in a Jewish home. There's nobody's kind of inferring anything. We just kind of tell you and slap you.
Right.
And so that was mom and dad's way of reminding us that you have a responsibility to do something with your life and to make something of yourself. That's what my father would always say, to make something. And different relatives, didn't make it. My father's family in 1907 leaves Odessa for Palestine. Family's original name is Auerbach. My uncle's name, who dies in 36 from a leg wound and infection from a bullet, his name was Manuel. And so the Emanuel's name, the reason that it's named after my dad's older brother, who was 17 years in age difference. And everything about us was about, and I believe this. And my kids, Amy and I try to pass it on. But both of them, 2 of the 3 went into the armed forces after college. I've told the kids, you got to give something to this country. I think when you're an American, you won the lottery of life. And it's a gift, and we should be asked to do something for this gift to contribute to it. That's why I believe in universal national service. But that motivation, besides stuff growing up at the dinner table and other things, etc., those pictures, that purse, those passports were my parents' daily reminder to us the responsibility we have.
I mean, that sounds like the obsession to make a difference. It comes as much from there as it does the kind of horrible health stuff that you went through.
Yeah, I mean, all of it, all of it. I'll give you a great story. So Leia, my baby, I call her my baby, she's 25.
She appreciate that?
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
Anyway, I take her to Israel for her bat mitzvah. It's a father-daughter trip. We're going to go for 2 weeks. I actually, on the trip, I happen to know him. I was invited to speak at his conference. Shimon Peres is president of Israel. And I'm asking him to oversee a signing between the University of Chicago and Barsheva universities for water research. I bring Leah, it's her bat mitzvah. I tell the president, this is Leah's bat mitzvah, and this is the father-daughter trip. And Shimon Peres, and I will bastardize it with a cheap imitation of that Polish-Lithuanian accent, says, Leah, when you have your bat mitzvah, you're becoming an adult. In life, there are 2 books, the guest book and the history book. Today forward, you decide whether your name will go in the guest book or the history book.
Mm.
And how you live your life will determine.
It's beautiful.
Yeah. And so I think that ethos, the pictures on the family wall, the dinner table, there was a lot of expected of us as a family, and a lot expected that here in this country, because you're American, because of what it's provided your family, going back to my mother's father, who comes, leaving the pogroms of Moldova, comes to Chicago, 14 years old. A lot is expected.
Ambassador, we always wrap up our show with like a little lightning round about other obsessions that are in your life. I wonder if there's an obsession that you have only told maybe your wife and kids about, but that you're willing to let us all know about here.
Well, I don't know. My kids are my obsession. So that's an obsession. They know that all too well. I have a reading obsession. I read a book about one a month, and I try to read one each year with each of my children. I already have one picked. Alana and I have one picked out for the summer.
You all read at the same time and then talk about it. And
Alana and I, yeah, I'll read one. I'll read something with Leah, and I'll read something with Zach. So I like Zach and I about, I don't know, 4 months ago, we read Jay Winnick's 1861 together. We both love history.
What were the conversations like after reading it together?
We talked about different things that we learned that we didn't know, and we learned, and why. We both have an obsession that Lincoln's the greatest president ever, etc. What's another but the reading is an obsession.
Why are you obsessed with Lincoln as the best president ever? I mean, I know the general argument why he was an extraordinary president. I'm just wondering what your
because I think Lincoln beats not only all expectations. He holds the country together. At the moment, I also, he doesn't start the war under slavery, even though he has feelings about it, and he gauges politically the right time and the right moment in both the war, the country, the psychology for the Emancipation Proclamation, and then makes that the driving factor. For a lot of reasons, I think Lincoln, and he, most importantly, probably is, I think, and this is captured by Gary Wills's book, Gettysburg, he knows how to he weaves the themes of the Declaration of Independence into the fabric of the Constitution. And intellect, and here's a guy, I think, go to a 4-year institution, wasn't a kind of a scholar or anything. He's not only a great politician, he's a great thinker, and he's a great president. And I believe that leadership is knowing why you're doing what you're doing and then having the strength to get it done. If you look at our great leaders, both in public life and not, but mainly in public life, they know why they're doing what they're going to do. And then they have the strength and courage to get it done.
All right, weirdest obsession in your life?
I would think where we started, my exercise. Weirdest obsession in my life. Oh, I'll give you a bad habit obsession.
Perfect.
Okay. Because I get up in the morning, exercise, and I change over there. I don't want to think about it. Monday is a white shirt. Tuesday's a blue shirt. Wednesday's a striped shirt. Thursday's a white shirt. And Friday's a blue shirt.
Every week.
Yeah. Because I don't have to think about it. It's Monday, white shirt.
Yeah.
And I know it comes out of exercise, but it's like a very bizarre, it's a habit / obsession. If you look like today, Monday.
I know. Yeah. I could look at you on camera and know the day of the week. I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah. If you look at, I have photo books for my mayoral day. I have them for my chief of staff days, etc. The photographers that you look at, I could say, that was that day.
I might adopt that. I love the idea of not thinking about, I mean, Jesus, that's like you spend so much time kind of in the closet and thinking, does that go with those pants? And
here's what you do. Monday, white shirt. Tuesday, blue. Wednesday, stripe. Reset the clock. Monday, white. Thursday, rather, white. Friday, blue. That's it. You don't have to think about it. It's over.
Have there been consequences if you ever got it wrong and wore the wrong color on a...
I don't know if it's wrong, but it does it throws the entire dry cleaning off.
You got to keep that in order.
These are obsessions on the borderline.
Yeah.
Maybe Blue Cross Blue Shield will cover this one day.
I think they might. All right. The last one is an obsession that kind of scares you.
Well, I don't know if it scares me, but there's another obsession. I love doing dishes.
Oh, I do too. My wife tries to give me credit for it. She's like, honey, thank you for doing dishes. I was like, it's meditative. Going back to
water on your hands.
Yeah. Soap.
Your backs to everybody. And mess, clean,
yes,
dry.
Yes.
And you have a clear objective.
Yes.
And it's just, yes. And so when we were growing up, and it's actually held for all of us, Zeke would help mom make dinner. Ari's responsibility was to set the table. My responsibility was to clean it and then do the dishes. And to this day, Amy, so we're empty nesters now. And she'll go, the goal here is to eat dinner. The goal is not to finish fast, so you get to clean the dishes. And
You done with dessert? Were you finished with that?
Yeah, give me your plate. I want to go. The water's running. Let's go. It's a weird, but I love make dinner. I can't wait to start cleaning up.
I love tasks where it's methodical. There's a beginning, there's an end, there's a result.
So when Amy and I are dating, my mother shows her my first grade report card. You know what it says? Rahm likes cleanup even after cleanup time. First grade.
Says it all.
There it is.
Yeah.
That's a weird. That's weird.
Yeah,
even
it's weird, but I can relate. And also weird.
Yeah, it's weird. But there's warm water running over your hands, and you're task driven. And I hate to say this, but your back's to everybody. You can just stay focused on what you're doing. You don't have to pay attention to other people's feelings.
I love that part of it too. Yeah, you're not managing anyone's feelings. You're just literally cleaning dishes. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Well, listen, Ambassador, it was a real pleasure catching up, and but best of luck in whatever you decide in the next few years.
You have a research project.
What's that? Oh, where swimming pool in Reno?
You got to go look. Take New Hampshire, Dover, some of the other cities.
Yeah,
go find me a pool.
You want me to do New Hampshire? Your staff's going to handle Nevada.
I'll take South Carolina and Charlotte, Columbia, Greenville, Spartanburg. Okay. I'll figure it out.
I will find swimming pools in New Hampshire for you.
Okay, that's your goal.
Yeah, mission accepted.
This has been a lot of fun. Thank you.
A lot of fun, Ambassador. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.